Let's talk about patches in World of Warcraft. Currently they do 1 or 2 major releases within a year, which each hopefully have plenty of new content and features. Sometimes they have done smaller ones like patch 5.1 and patch 5.3, but generally having a few very big patches has been their sort of way of doing things, with the exception being some of Vanilla and then the first half of Mists of Pandaria. Now, all of this has had me thinking about what I would like from patches and how they could maybe handle that aspect in a different way that maybe would be better for some of their goals. Now, my overall point here is that I'm very interested in the idea of having a larger number of smaller patches that would span an expansion's length. I think this approach could have some really great benefits for the game. If you look at Mists of Pandaria, you can see there was a period of excellent subscriber retention, and that was spurred on by players getting new content every 3 or so months. That really did work. Yeah, there was a big dip when the expansion launched, the theme didn't work for a lot of people, but the actual patch content, well, we have the numbers to say it kept people going. Now, looking back at Vanilla, they did some stuff that's sort of interesting. Patch 1.2 had Maradon, then it also had the Gurbashi Arena and Winter's Veil. Patch 1.3 had Dire Maul and its various wings. It also brought in meeting stones and 2 world bosses. 1.4 had 2 epic quests and it brought in the honor system. 1.5 had Battlegrounds, 1.6 had Blackwing Lair, 1.7 had Zul'Gurub and AB, 1.8 had 4 world bosses and a revamped Silithus, and that list actually just covers the first year of the game. Now, if that was happening currently, we would probably just have all of that stuff in one patch and not really that much in between. And I really think there is something to be said for this older way of doing things. If there is consistently something on the horizon, then surely players are going to be looking forward to that and they're going to be preparing for it, which would make the game better at retaining subs, as the MOP model showed us. It would also allow for a decoupling of patch features. What does this mean? Well, if you have a massive patch planned with 6 features, you could be in the situation where 4 of those features are good to go, but the last 2 features are those tricky little bastards that are holding everything back. If those features were decoupled, i.e. they were sort of made to be released on their own, then you would have a consistent flow of content in which basically internal delays for a specific bit of content or maybe a specific feature don't actually hold the overall game back that much. A more rapid approach would also allow for them to iterate on concepts and tweak designs in a far more agile manner, rather than just putting all of their eggs in one basket and hoping it works. They'd be able to get more feedback in a quicker manner, which would hopefully allow them to improve on upcoming content, rather than having that upcoming content be sort of finished before they even know there's actually a problem with its design. Another thing that they could use this for is chucking in dungeon content, like with Maradon and Dire Maul. Back then, dungeons were each their own unique part of the gearing process, far more so than they are today. Today, that entire category of content is homogenized into being a dungeon. And actually, hell, in Warlords, the gear is like pretty much homogenized across them as well, which is really quite strange in terms of the gear actually not being unique and they're all just sets, which is maybe a bit bizarre, but anyway, I think that it would be an interesting experiment to be able to release new dungeon content from time to time as a part of a patch cycle that prioritizes getting content out to players, so you could find out, oh, next month, there's a new dungeon. Maybe that dungeon has got 1 or 2 unique little things inside it that mean that even if I'm a geared character, I want to go in there and check it out and see what's up. Maybe there's some new armor models or whatever for transmog purposes, or a new pet, or whatever gets people going, but they could do little things like that here and there. It would also allow for them to do some aspects of the game differently. If you have a patch every 8 to 12 weeks, then you can add new quest content in a far more agile manner, such that people would get a consistent flow of brand new quest content. For an example, having a patch that has a few new class quests, or adds maybe some sort of solo encounters, would really, it's not the sort of thing that would set the world on fire, but it would be something to look forward to if you were an active player of the game. Would it be strewn across the news sites? No, but would the people who play World of Warcraft and are engaged in that game be excited and maybe keep their sub for that content? There's a good chance, yeah, they would. If they wanted to experiment, then actually making new quests based on the reaction to old quests could make for some really interesting content as far as the storytelling goes. Also, if Legion PvP is going to be more Call of Duty style in terms of its rewards, then having patches that throw in Battlegrounds would be pretty nice, because I've got a feeling the Battleground experience is going to see a bit more play than it usually does. Also, Legion class orders seem like an excellent thing that could be added to on a regular basis, though the same could have been said about the Garrison, and that clearly did not happen. Overall, I just think that the MOP numbers show us that a consistent drip of content is great for people just who are playing the game. Yeah, sure, it's not a big PR event, but it means that the people who are playing are more likely to keep on playing. Patches should all be about that, keeping the people who are playing the game. That's great because it means those people are having more fun, and from the business perspective, retention equals money, and if you're not churning subscribers, i.e. losing them all and getting them all back again, you'll probably have less attrition. Current content patches feel more like they're trying to have a massive event that brings in new players and brings back lapsed people. I don't think that's the most effective way of doing things, especially if there is going to be a ginormous gap in between patches. Clearly, they do not bring in many new players, and I've got to wonder if just having lots of small patches would cause less of a sort of lapse of subscribers in the first place. The larger patches that add new landmasses, like say, like 5.2, are absolutely fantastic things, though brilliant bits of content, though something which I think Blizzard has historically done a very poor job of is using their initial expansion's world after the expansion launches. The whole world of Draenor is sitting there as it was in 6.0, just they've added a few rares into Highmaul. If the World of Warcraft is all about the world, then surely having the world change and be added to over time is a really powerful tool. Personally, I see the future of online games being titles that constantly provide players with new stuff on a quick schedule. Blizzard were onto a wonderful idea during Mists of Pandaria, and I think that returning to that way of doing things, hopefully, maybe in an even more decoupled manner, would be absolutely great